Hi there, Agile friends. Get ready for the World Tour of Agile at the Agile Online Summit 2023. You can join us from October 24th to 26th for a global showcase of cutting-edge Agile practices and insights. Join us at agileonlinesummit.com. This year, we will be featuring some of the best work done around the world and world-class keynotes. You can check all of that at agileonlinesummit.com. But the best part is that your ticket is on us. That's right, it's free to attend and immerse yourself in the world of Agile excellence. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your skills and network with peers and industry experts. Mark your calendars and secure your spot at AOS 23 today by visiting agileonlinesummit.com. So get your free ticket or opt for the full digital pass that lets you keep all the conference videos forever and organize, why not, Agile learning sessions at work. You can get the full digital access at agileonlinesummit.com. I'll see you in the conference floor. Hello everybody, welcome to our Team Tuesday with Toby. How about that for an alliteration? Hey Toby, welcome back.
Oh, thank you, Vasco. Glad to be back.
So Toby, on Tuesdays we talk teams and we'll talk about teams in a second. But before we do that, do share with us, what's the book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master?
So I would say the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I wish I had read that book a long time ago, but it didn't exist. But that book really was groundbreaking, and I think it changed my paradigm about a lot of things. And I can't stop talking about the book. And I was actually able to get a lot of my team members and friends to read the book, and I'm seeing positive changes in them as well. So yeah, that would be the book that I highly recommend, and it's definitely influenced me.
Can you say a little bit more about how it influenced you? Like what were maybe some key takeaways that you took from the book that you want our listeners to know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we as human beings are wired to resist change. Whenever we think of a big change to happen, we think of ways to avoid it. It is just natural tendency that we have, and we get into either freeze, fly, or fight mode, and we want to avoid change as much as possible, and that's because we think of change as big things that take a lot of effort and a lot of commitment. So this book is groundbreaking because it really dilutes the huge changes to small, very small, and that's why it's called atomic, at the lowest level. So if you do one or two things, small things every day, they lead to big changes. And this not just applies on things related to work, but also your personal things, right? So one of the things that I started doing, like one of my goals was to get more steps in walking, and my habit was to find the parking spot that's closest to the office. And after reading this book, I said, I'm going to always try to find the parking spot the furthest away from the building. And that's a very simple thing. All I have to do was park far away, and then I'm forced to walk longer when I'm going to the office and coming back from the office. Now, had I not read this book, I would have been the same one, right? Same person who's finding the closest parking. And I was doing that even when I was going to the gym. I would find, oh my God, why there's no parking today? And
yeah,
I would
that's a great question. We drive to the gym to run in the treadmill.
Yes. but want to find parking as close as possible. Now, fast forward to work. So when, as a Scrum Master, when I hear somebody talking about their impediments or talking about why a certain thing didn't work, uh, our tendency is to take that as face value and say, okay, so this happen. one of the one of the things, the key things that I took from here was that really helped me in my coaching questions. So for example, if a team member says that she or he is impeded because they're waiting for something from another team member. So normally I would have just asked, oh, okay, are you expecting to start on that tomorrow, or something of that nature. Now I asked the question, okay, so what's your plan to solve that problem? Have you have this conversation? Is this something that happens all the time? And then I also, like in the daily stand up, I may not drill down to that level, but then when I have one-on-one conversations with people, I drill down and try to understand what the problem is, and then ask questions so that they come down to where exactly the problem is, and see how they can self solve that problem. And most of the time it is something as simple as picking up the phone and talking to somebody, as opposed to just waiting for it. And that's one small change that people have started seeing in me, that I help them to drill down to the smallest problem and then resolve it.
Yeah.
And so now it's become a habit with them. They know that I'm going to go a little deeper to understand. They try to do that first step themselves, and that is solving a lot of problems for us.
Absolutely. The
Yeah,
book is
yeah,
Atomic Habits by James Clear, a great
yeah.
recommendation. So check it out. So, Toby, now we turn our attention to the teams, which you were just talking about, and how sometimes they become their own worst enemies. They kind of start developing these behaviors
Hmm.
or patterns that maybe when they start, it's quite, quite small, very low impact, but then they grow and grow and grow. And sometimes they can cause catastrophic problems in the team. So tell us one of those stories, share a little bit of the context of the team so that we know what kind of team it was, and then walk us through the behaviors, the patterns that emerged as small things, but eventually grew and created problems over time.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I have so many stories. Which one to choose now? All right, so let's go back a little bit in time. So this was yet again a federal government project, because I live in the Washington D.C. area, and most lot of these projects are federal government. So this particular team was a high performing team. There were 8 people in the team. Um, they were onboarded about 11 months before some of these challenges started coming in. They were high maturity, very cooperative with each other, a lot of collaborative work styles. The team was had some senior people, some junior people. Um, it also had contractors, vendors, and some full-time people as well. So at this point, right, they were working excellent for about 11 months. There was a leadership change, and with the leadership change came some budget changes as well. And basically, they wanted to replace the contractors, um, for for various reasons. I'm not going to go into the details of why, but they basically wanted to replace some of the contractors with another contracting company. And so they replaced a few really good and old team members who were working with the team for about 11 months. So they replaced, out of those 8, they replaced 3 people. When these 3 people came in, I started noticing a lot of difference in the way the team was operating. One, the team which existed, the 5 people who
And those
existed.
new people, were they all internals?
No, so one was internal that came from another team, and 2 were fresh hires. Um,
And
so
what
yeah.
were but so hired internally, not hired as consultants or
No, hired. No, two of them were consultants who came from
okay, so two
outside.
were consultants. And what were the key changes that you saw happening? So you said that when the new people came in, the team
Yes.
started
Mm-hmm.
acting differently. What were some of those things they did differently?
So it was very interesting, Vasco, because this is the first time I saw this. So the 5 people who were existing from the earlier team, they were very very bonded with each other and had a lot of cooperation with each other. But what I started seeing was that they were not freely sharing information with the new team members, team members who came in. The team members who came in, they brought their version of Scrum with them, and they questioned a lot of things which were happening in the team. Now, I as a Scrum Master, redid the the working agreements and the team norms, and I did a few things like to make sure the bonding happens, and I definitely onboarded them. uh, we talked about our definition of done, our definition of ready, and a lot of those other things. But they jumped in when the cycle was going on. um, so some of the behaviors I saw was the new team members kind of questioning the norms that the team has, um, and then they bringing their version of agile and kind of confusing the people who were there. The people who were there from before, they feeling like almost like a herd mentality. They were like, uh, they would
They
share
probably felt
information with
threatened,
others.
right?
Yeah, they felt threatened, and they're like, this was working for us. What do you mean this won't work? We've been doing this, we've been delivering this way. And some of the ideas that the new team members were bringing were actually not bad ideas, right? They were actually good
But they were
ideas.
not. That's actually a very good point, because when a new team member comes in and brings a new idea, like the default is, well, that's a good idea, let's do it, right? Like that's how
Yeah,
we would think rationally. But
yeah,
emotionally, what the others being in the team feel is, oh, those new people, they think we're not good enough. We're
exactly.
being
Yeah.
criticized, right? And
Uh-huh.
that creates all manner of defensive patterns.
Yes, yes. So I just give you some examples of what was happening. And what came to my mind really was Tuckman's, right? So it's forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. But in the current state, they were stuck at storming, right? I thought I did my part of doing the forming, but they were stuck at storming, and they were not moving to the norming. So what is storming? Storming is where you have disagreements with other team members, where egos come in, where, hey, I know better than you, and the other people are thinking, oh, you always think holier than thou, those sort of attitudes. So I think it's natural, and sometimes when storming happens, the natural process after that is for it to get normalized, when you say, you know what, I like what you're bringing in. I have a yes, and why can't we do that and also do X? So that's where the collaboration starts, right? And they get to performing. But this team was stuck in storming for a much longer period of time than what I expected it to be. So that's the problem we are talking about.
And how did you solve it? Like I can imagine the maybe even some discussions going on in the daily meetings and retrospectives for sure. But how did you then, maybe with the help of the team or somebody else, how did you sort that out?
Um, so I really did a lot of thinking around what's happening. I did a lot of observation of individual people, and then my hypothesis was that it really boils down to trust. And what what happened is, I think the five people who were there from before did not trust the new people who came in. And the three people who came in from outside, they did not know each other, so they did not trust each other. So overall there was a disbalance of trust. And as a scrum master, I could just leave it saying that, okay, over a period of time they will get, all this will get normalized. But then that wasn't happening, so there was definitely a need for intervention. So a couple of things that I did, there were a couple of people from the existing team who were very quiet. So I first of all, I made the retrospectives a lot more interesting, instead of just using um, what went well, what did not go so well, and what should we do differently. I started experimenting with some new ways of doing retrospective. I went to this website, tastycups.org, and they have there are plenty other websites like that, but I actually like that one because it has very simple retrospectives that you can use. And I started doing some creative ones. So there is one in which, I would draw a picture of a boat and of water, and then um, there are huge rocks, and then there's breeze blowing, and then I would ask them, hey, um, what helped the boat move forward? What anchors pulled you back? So I'm just giving an example, but I did a lot of creative retrospective where they opened up. And then I also started celebrating small successes. So whenever I saw that a new team member and an old team member worked on something, and they're presenting it in the demo, or they share that that particular work is finished, I would make sure that I kind of talk about that. So they started getting recognition when they work together. And then I also did some one-on-one conversations with people. So over a period of time, I think it took about 2 months. Um, and in these 2 months, slowly they progressed towards that. Say they went from I to we. And I think a lot of it was ego. A lot of it was like, I need to establish myself. I need to. So it went from I to we. And once it went from me to us, I think some of those problems started getting solved. But I did have to do something about it. Just sitting back and thinking, yeah, this will self-solve, I don't think that would have worked.
Absolutely. And that's us taking responsibility right there. Thank you for sharing that story, Toby.
Sure.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.